Well, hello everyone. This is, I believe, episode 24 of Twins on Tech. I am Bryce. That handsome devil over there is Brent. And you can tell he's back in his studio now. So he's got the studio lighting going on. It looks almost as good as I do. It's going to be a good day. How you doing over there?
I suppose I'm doing all right. Things are set up here, especially simplified. Again, I'm back wired. But the audio is coming through, and that's what matters. So long as I can hear you and you can hear me, that's a decent start to all this anyway.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully it continues proper. You might notice before we get into the topic of today, which we're going to be just quick because I'm still in the middle of researching, and Brent has some extra stuff, but he's going to have a show and tell later on. So maybe we'll extend this to another episode later. But we want to talk about some security cameras, and I'll get into why as well, at least for me. But maybe before we start, we can talk about this weirdness. Did you even recognize this when you popped in there?
I saw that from the video you sent me earlier, but
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look at it. So I'm just glancing. It looks like a pop filter, but I can't tell really, to be honest with you, what it is.
Homemade pop filter. Please stop me if I sound like I'm bragging. Basically what it is, well, first of all, let's back up to last week's video, episode 23. Even when I wasn't trying to, there was a lot of pops and hisses. And I think in the industry, right, they call those pleasants and sibilants. I can't remember, something like that. But basically, when you say a B or a P, it goes boom into the microphone, and it's kind of annoying. And as you can tell from last week's video, it really distorts the audio. And that's one of the reasons why people have these things. Well, I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I bought some more cables and silly things like this past week. So I figured I'd make one. And what this is a wire hanger. I always hate the fact that you always get wire hangers back from the laundry when you get dry cleaning. But every once in a while, I actually use them. So we try to keep a couple around. But anyways, wire hanger. And then what's actually stopping the airflow is a sock. It's an old sock. Mm-hmm. Depending on how clear the video is, you might even see the really old and faded argyle pattern that is on there. And this sock, as I mentioned in the video before, it was chosen because this was one of the few that wasn't a white sock, that I would wear to work, that didn't have a hole in it. So normally what people do when they do DIY things like this is they'll use pantyhose, because
that's what I was thinking that you may have used, but I couldn't.
Yeah. I asked my daughter the other day, hey, do you have any old tights you don't wear anymore? And she just kind of gave me this look like, no, why are you asking? Weirdo. So I was going to use those, but she didn't have any. I had these. These are the kind that, when you slip them on, they immediately fall down. So they were annoying anyways. And they didn't have a hole anywhere. So that's good. So it's just basically stretched over it in roughly shape. This is wrapped around it, mainly because this broke off. The how it's connecting to the microphone stand broke. So I had to pull it a little further, so that I made it arc a little bit to wrap around the microphone. But after doing some tests, it seems to sound pretty good. So I'm proud of myself. It only looks mildly ridiculous. So thumbs up for me. It's being secured. Oops, I just touched it. It's being secured with some zip ties holding the sock in place. Otherwise, it'd go poof right back this way. But hey, it's working and it's free. I'll probably leave it here in my office, so that if we ever do these on the road and I'll have the microphone, I might not have this guy. I'll probably upgrade eventually to something professional. But for now, 2 thumbs up from me.
I've got at least one over here I could send your way if you wanted it, but I don't know how good it is. I haven't ever used it.
Well, if you're never going to use it and you don't mind paying for whatever it is, but I'll take it. But, don't feel obligated. But, maybe in the back of your mind, feel obligated. Just don't tell me. Okay, so the topic today is security cameras. There are so many that are on the market. I'm used to working with kind of the big boys in a whole huge server that is either for an entire school or for district-wide. And we use a whole sorts of different ones, Sony's, Yamaha, Vicon, or Vican or Viacom. I can't remember. There's so many, I get lost. That's actually a little quick sidebar. how I got this shape before I bent it. It was, a straight piece of wire from the hanger. I had a security camera on my desk over here that I was parting out. One part works here, one part works there. So I was going to make a good one out of them. But it's about this big round. So I just wrapped it around the base of the camera to get that shape. They come in handy in all sorts of different reasons. But so we purchased some property. We're going to put a house on it. But, security is important. We're thinking about a fence and a bunch of other stuff. We've already met a few of the neighbors, and they seem like they're, pretty okay people. But it's still nice to be able to secure it, and if something happens, to know who maybe might have done something, assuming the police even care. I wonder about that more and more every day. But so you have mentioned you have some, or at least have used some. I've used, like I said, the big boys. I don't want to spend $1,000 per camera, but there's some inexpensive ones that are out there. Besides the Ring doorbell, which was just recently purchased by Amazon. So I'm curious how great that'll be in a little bit. There's competitors to the Ring as well. And then you have,
so forth.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have other ones that are roughly the same size or smaller, they're indoor cameras, not meant to be outdoors. But they're really small, inconspicuous. I don't think I want those because I don't want to have my internal of the house under surveillance. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? We'll see how it goes and what is needed. But what are your thoughts on the market there and all the different options that are out there? Because there's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely grown a lot from what it used to be. When we bought what we have now, to be honest, I can't remember how long. We've had it for quite a while. Let's call it 4 or 5 years. I know that's not 10, 11 because these types of cameras have been around for a while, and they used to be really big, boxy, the external ones anyway. The ones that we have, I believe, is Z-Moto might be the name of the one we have now. It's a brand that if you go to Costco or Sam's, BJ's, whatever, you can buy a box that has multiple cameras. All of ours are wired. I didn't want any wireless ones. We do actually have a few wireless ones installed for a specific purpose. And we have is it wireless or not? I know it can be wired. I can't recall if it can also be wired. And I do not recall the name of it, but it's a nice one. It's the type where you can actually log into a web page and turn the camera.
Okay, so pan tilt.
But that's not currently installed, and I don't recall the manufacturer of that one. Mm-hmm. But the other two are nice. Both of them record. One of them did not come with a hard drive, so if you're looking for the ones that have the DVR or PVR, I think a lot of them refer to it as. Then recording locally, that is, because like the Nest and Ring doorbell, they don't record locally. They use Wi-Fi, and they actually record to the cloud if you pay for the recording service. Right. The one that we have, I threw a hard drive in, and it's not a big one, so it records for a while, and then it loops over it. Unless we go on vacation, then I can change that. And it's an older one, so I think it may be 720p if we're fortunate. I don't even remember that. So every time we go to Sam's, which is a local store, as opposed to Costco's or BJ's, I'll look and see what's out there now. And a lot of them are creeping up into the 4K world, and that's what I would prefer to get. Yeah. Or at least the 2K world, really. They might say 4K, but it's really 2,000 some lines. And those are nice. And I've thought about switching to those because some of them even say that they'll work with your existing wiring. And I've debated on that. I don't want to go wireless, although it does make for a simpler installation. When you go wireless, you are introducing security hazards if that is an additional thing to concern yourself with. I don't necessarily think out here in the country where I live that I'm going to have somebody down the road with a antenna pointed at the house trying to hack into the cameras, and our system is not connected to the internet. I did have one of the, Swan, I think is the other one, the wireless ones that we have. It's two wireless cameras. Those do have the better night vision. They can actually get out to the road. If you're standing in the road, you can tell to a certain extent who that is, whereas the other ones I think have a 30 feet night vision range. Yeah. But mine are older. And, the newer ones have more of the infrared bulbs that line the outside of the camera. Yeah. So So that is nice to have that. But again, those are used for a specific purpose. There are various businesses that some in the house run, and so we just try to protect some of the equipment that's here.
Yeah.
But just like most homes, you want it for security reasons. And to be quite honest, also kind of being lazy. We have a monitor in the kitchen, and a lot of times when we're in the kitchen, if somebody pulls up or the postman pulls up or someone's coming to get the kids, oh, hey, they're here. You know what I mean? You don't have to wait for someone to knock on the door. It's just nice to know that somebody's out there.
Yeah.
Even beyond the security purposes of it, just from a surveillance convenience factor. But I like them. We are thinking about upgrading ours. Well, I'll rephrase that. I'm trying to convince them to be on board with me upgrading ours because they're not inexpensive. But you can buy a nice 8-camera system for $300-400 depending on how high the resolution is. But they're pretty handy. I haven't used the big behemoths like you're talking about. It's not big as in size wise, but server connections and so forth. But running ours have a single box that all the cameras route to, and then that box is networked. It's not connected to the internet, but it does. You can use an app on your mobile device, or again, if you have a cable RAN, you can run it to a television and look at the cameras there. Then they'll flip through those, display 4 screens, and then every few seconds they'll flip to additional cameras and so on. So,
okay.
Yeah,
that's like a kiosk mode or somewhere where you'd put in for a security person to constantly be monitoring it. Yeah. I like the idea of having one on the door. I don't subscribe to his channel, but Casey Neistat, the internet, the YouTuber that's super popular. He's got some interesting videos out there for sure. But I do like to, every once in a while, I watch a video and I some of the ideas are pretty neat. He has in his office, the main office that he shoots from at least, he has his door, and then somewhere, I believe it's dead center, like where a peephole would be, is a camera. Immediately to the right of the door, it looks to be a 36-inch. It might be only a 24 or 27, but it's a gigantic monitor or TV set vertically. And I'm just like, So I even told my wife, I said, that's, if we don't do cameras around, which we're still kind of debating, because we've never needed it in the past. We probably don't need it. We hope we don't need it. But at the same time, kind of like you mentioned, it is nice to be able to just quickly take a look and just make sure everything's okay. We have animals. Are the animals okay? Things like that. But at the very least, I'd like to have one on the door. Doesn't have to be dead center like his was. Could be in the corner even. And then have a monitor, even if it's like a 5 or a 7-inch. They make them inexpensive enough, $200 on a B&H or something. And it just mounts it right there. So instead of having the peephole, you would just look at this monitor. And you'd be able to tell, who is there, who's at the front door. I like that idea. I always envy those friends who have the optical one, where it's about a 3-inch hole that they drill into their door, and they put in this basically a fisheye lens that has some sort of filter on it, so the people still can't see into the house. But if you're inside the house and you look at it, you actually get a good size view of who's outside instead of kind of, hey, I think that's Wilbur. You can't really tell.
Right.
We got a lot of Wilburs.
I've never seen one of those. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah, they're actually pretty neat. And they're, it's all optics, so there's no power. You don't need all this other stuff. That's kind of neat. So we'll see. You never know. I might even do that if I can find it. But a lot of these digital things with the prices coming down. The downside, of course, you need to make sure you have power to it. Everything takes power nowadays. Although most of them are only 5 volts. They can run off of a small computer if you need to. So we'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. I'll definitely bring it up again. There's a couple that are battery powered because possibly when the home gets put on the land, there won't be power yet. It all depends on the process that they do and when Edison's available and all this other silly things. So, if we decide to put a camera there when there's no power yet, well, need to do battery power. There's a couple of the smaller ones. Again, most of them are indoor cameras, but if you put some small little shade cover on it to keep the elements out, dew and rain and things like that, then, they last at the very least a few months. And that's really all we would need is just a couple months worth.
Right.
And they're inexpensive enough, $50 or less. They've got decent. You're clearly not talking about, super crazy high quality, high class stuff. Some of the stuff we have in the district is the quality is 1080p and it's pristine, but some of it isn't, even some of those, when they look great, the dome that's covering it, that's protecting it from the elements, maybe the sun beats on it all day long, so it starts to yellow and they have to replace it or clean it up or whatever else. So, but because of this, I've got a few other names. There are these little Korean and Taiwanese knockoffs of the higher ends, but they act and they work just the same. Matter of fact, a lot of them are the same components, but because it doesn't have a Samsung or a Sony attached to it, the price drops. There's a one, oh man, it's right on the tip of my tongue, that was announced last year. I believe it was a Kickstarter. They're actually not leasing, but subcontracting, if you will, Xiaomi or Xiaomi. I always forget how to pronounce that. So
the phones.
What's that?
The phones.
They make phones, but yeah, they also make other things. But they this other company, it's like the Ycam or something, Zycam, Ycam, Wise, WYZE Cam. Let's go with that for now. Anyways, it's only about $30, $20 or $30. 1080p, infrared. Again, it's meant to be indoors. So the infrared or the motion detection, you can set it to be 10 feet out, 30 feet out, or close as 5 feet, depending how sensitive you want it. But it's free 14-day cloud service, which is pretty good. Even Amazon's Cloud Cam, you get 24 hours free, but then you pay for the subscription, which it's not terribly expensive. I think it's $6 or $7 a month. And then you get 30 days. It could be 14, but I think it's 30 days worth of cloud storage. I don't know if that's what I want.
You mean retention, right? Not just after 30 days you pay more. It's that video stays there for 30 days and then it falls off, assuming you will have recognized you.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, you have a constant the past 30 days of whatever videos were recorded. If something was recorded 31 days ago, it's not going to be on the site unless you pay the higher cost, which is then you've got 3 months and 6 months and a year and things like that. I'm actually probably looking more for the local, similar to what you have, but is internet connected so that everything is recorded locally at home. I can control that. And if I want to view it via an internet internet portal through my router, I can do that. So, but we'll see. Yeah. All of this is just conjecture at the moment, but
that is awful handy because I was going to set a timer and I didn't.
Well, we're at 18 minutes.
Yeah. When we went to New York, at this point, was it last year or a few years ago? We had the Swan up and running, trying to pronounce words better, or fully and accurately. Kentucky's rubbed off on me. And it was nice to be in New York or Connecticut or wherever we were, and to be able to pop open the phone and be able to. I didn't have alerts turned on where if motion was detected in a certain area, that it would send you something. A lot of those things will have that, but I didn't have any of that turned on. I just merely had it so that it would send I think it was just merely uploading an image every second. I made the assumption that with nobody home bogging down the internet and the picture quality not cranked up all the way, that it would be fast enough to send at least an image every second. And it was, you'd log in and it'd give you a decent little picture there. And so that's nice to have. We don't have that turned on now, primarily because, again, those cameras are used for a specific reason, and they kind of come online and offline. And I haven't been in love with this particular one that we have. I don't maintain it. I just kind of do some assistance and prepping it if it needs to be moved or whatever. But the regular ones that we have, I've never had those online, basically because I've heard so many reports about them being hackable. There's software security flaws in a lot of these things. I would recommend, if anybody's watching this, hopefully there's at least somebody, and you decide to buy some, immediately change the password. When you get in there, change that password. Don't ever use the default passwords. Right. Because if you could find a list of these default passwords, you could go out there and find passwords. And, there's been some creepy things I think you've mentioned in the past about people hacking into these cameras and then, creeping out the baby monitor inside the house. And
Yeah.
so from that
Especially the ones where they
I
can
just
talk
didn't-
through as well, because then you can start,
Oh, yeah.
these people are creeping on the internet. They're talking to the people in the living room. They're like, what the,
Right.
yeah, that's,
Then they
you
start
don't want that to
burning
happen.
everything in the house thinking it's possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
So
also where
from
research
that
comes
standpoint,
in,
I never did it.
because
Yeah,
not
yeah.
every camera company allows the cameras or the systems to change the password. So, just make sure that you're buying one that does allow it. And if you need to spend a couple extra dollars, save up an extra month worth of money to go and buy a slightly better one. If you're the one buying it, obviously my instructions, my recommendations based off of what I recommend because of security and whatnot and quality, well, that's all well and good. If you can't afford it, then that's a different story. But we're in an era now where there are inexpensive cameras that still have the same features as the big boys. And so look into that, but also do your homework. Have they been known to be hacked in the past? Are they easily hacked? Even if you don't know how to do it, that doesn't matter. There's still plenty of data on the internet that you can look into. But I'll be updating with what I end up using. I might even buy a couple different ones to do some tests. I'll definitely mention those as well. And if you can, with some of the ones that you have, if you feel that they're pertinent, being that they're a little older, then by all means share as well. There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about super briefly. One was I bought some cables here recently from the Amazons.
Bunch of tall women sold you cables.
Yeah, like the Girl Scouts, but Amazons.
Giant Girl Scouts. Yeah.
All dressed like Wonder Woman, but they shouldn't have been. Different story.
That's probably why you bought them.
Not your business. Mind your own business. So I was kind of bummed when Radio Shack went out of business or was bought, yada, yada. There were 3 or 4 here in town, and you can go to any one of them. And if you're willing to spend 6 or 7 times the amount of anything else on any other store, the convenience factor was fantastic. But I have an Amazon Prime account, and so things show up usually about 2 days later, and the prices on things are pretty fantastic. So I've been looking for a while. I almost made one, but I couldn't find wire that was strong enough to keep that angle. Something that has a nice, I'll use the paleness of my skin to show the angle here, a 90-degree angle, but a very low profile. I'm using it with the camera right now, and hopefully I sound good because my microphone's plugged into the Ceramonic Plus. Ceramonic Plus is then plugged into this adapter. I bought 2 of them, and the adapter's going into the camera. The reason I like this is because being so small, my other cables, even the ones that were 90 degrees, for some reason they came out almost another half to 3/4 of an inch further out. Well, that's exactly on my camera, the Lumix G85, where the audio meters are. So it blocked it. So I always had to turn it upside down and send it up and then back around so I can at least see a little bit of the meters. So with this view, I can see the entire, when the screen is on, it auto shuts off after 5 minutes. Apparently I can't disable that feature. But for the first 3 minutes of us recording is when the screen is on. So for those 3 minutes, I can see the audio meters. And like right now, I can't see them. There's a good chance my Ceramonic died battery-wise because I can't see. Why can't it send the audio meters here when I'm using the program? Baffles me. But anywho, so something like this. So if you run into any issues to where you need something, check the internet. Now, I checked the internet about 6 months ago, or however long I bought this camera ago. So let's say I bought the camera 7 months ago. That means 6 months ago, I started looking for these. I didn't see any. I couldn't find any. But now there's plenty of them. So as new hardware comes out, and a lot of people start complaining about the same thing, because I'm not the only one who would complain about this, new products come out. And so this is a male on one side, female on the other. About another one, this is a braided one with cloth wiring, male to male, but this side is straight. And I believe this is 6 feet. This is 6 inches. Then I bought another one. This is
Just
a flat
just
wire.
standard 1/8 inch cables. Is that
Just
what
a
they are?
standard 1/8 inch. Yeah, basically I'll use it for my headphones or for this if I need to. And then this is just a flat one. It's red, so it can be contrasted. We can see it. One's 90 degrees and one is a standard straight. But none of these were more than $7. Matter of fact, these male to female ones, it was a 2-pack for $7.
Yeah.
For this one, it also was a 2-pack for $7. Now, with that said, that
Wow.
means they're probably not going to last forever. But
Right.
for $7, when you get 2, you're probably okay. We're at 25 minutes. We're probably okay there. One last thing I want to mention is probably not that important because I can't remember what it is.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
You wanted to mention it, but you couldn't remember.
Yeah, I'll have to write it down. But we'll mention that last week or next week. So we were shooting for 15. We got 25 because we ramble like beasts. But that's the end of episode 24. We will see everyone next week or the week after or sometime the rest of this year in episode 25. And as always, throw something in the comments if you have any questions. If there's something that you're curious about, want to talk about, let us know. And, we'll see what we can do. Oh, it popped in. I have secured, it's not here yet, it's on order, the Surface Book 2
Hey,
highest end model.
I know.
It's quite pricey, but I justified it because of all the audio, video, photo stuff that I do here. So it works out. So I'm going to, hopefully whenever I get that, I'm going to play with it. I'll bring it on the show and then I'll do a little review of what I think of it because I love the other one. I have a Surface Pro 3, but I open up Photoshop and after about 30 minutes, it is dog slow. So hopefully this doesn't have the same problem. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Now this is
with it.
This is the one, the Surface Book, if I'm not mistaken, just a regular laptop, but you can pop the screen off still. Am I thinking of the same?
It has that weird accordion hinge in the corner. Yeah.
Right,
so this is the second version. Came out like September or November of last year. Surface Book 2. I got the 15-inch version because, again, I'm doing photos and video. I want a slightly bigger screen. It's a little heavier, but terabyte SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, Core i7, 8th gen. It's a quad core. Should be a little zippy. And in the base of it, it has the 6 gig NVIDIA GTX 1060 graphics card. So I don't do gaming, but if I did, it's actually a pretty good gaming graphics card. I use it for video rendering, so hopefully it'll work just fine. Anything you like to close with?
Not outside of thanks for watching.
I agree. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See ya. Bye.